Nova Scotia rampage left 22 dead. The rampage stands as the worst the North American nation has ever witnessed, and it wasn't long before calls for stricter gun laws were being made throughout Canada. The massacre is the biggest mass shooting since the 1989 Montreal École Polytechnique College shooting, which killed 14, and saw an overhaul of Canada's strict gun control laws. Large companies bled the Small Business Loan Fund dry in 2 weeks. By Monday, it became clear how this happened, and it wasn't the result of a plethora of small businesses. It turned out that some hotel and restaurant chains applied for money, and received it, leaving many small business owners with nothing. Some of the companies that took money from the program included Shake Shack, Potbelly, and Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, and another subsidiary of Ruth's Hospitality Group. The United States government recently passed a COVID-19 stimulus package, which included $349 billion in funding for small business loans. The money was meant to help small businesses continue paying their employees while keeping the bills at bay, but in less than 2 weeks, the program was out of money as of Thursday last week. Pet cats aren't immune to COVID-19 infections. The 2 cases are the first known pets in the United States to test positive for COVID-19. Though they had mild respiratory illnesses and are expected to recover, the new finding doesn't conclude that cats can transmit the virus to humans once they've become infected, as that would be a concern, seeing his cats run rampant through many parts of NYC, and could potentially be vectors for the disease. It likely came from pangolins in a Wuhan food market, but it turns out it can hop from a human host to a pet cat, as was confirmed in 2 separate cases in New York City on Wednesday. There's still not a lot known about the nature of COVID-19 and exactly where it originated, but it is known to be a zoonotic virus, which means it can jump from animals to humans and vice versa. Protests erupt over coronavirus shelter-in-place orders across the country. People left their homes to demand the state governments allow them to return to work. And while some in the crowds wore masks and observed social distancing guidelines, many more didn't follow that guidance. Dan Patrick, the lieutenant governor of Texas, was quoted as saying, "There are more important things than surviving," in reference to the nation's economy, which somewhat mirrored prior comments he's made about risking health over economic stability. While nothing reached the level of armed insurrection, the defiance of stay-at-home guidance from state governments has elevated the risk of increasing the spread of COVID-19. Deal extends Netanyahu's rule as rival accepts Israeli unity government. The new agreement keeps Netanyahu in place as prime minister through to 2021, at which time he will step down in favor of Gantz. Gantz had been Netanyahu's challenger, but the agreement to establish a unity government dissolves the year-long political impasse. Though critics quickly pointed out the advantage the move gives to the embattled prime minister, Netanyahu has been the target of prosecutors intent on removing him from power over charges of corruption, which he will be able to fight from a position of considerable strength as the sitting PM. Gantz argued that given the public health crisis, it was the only responsible move they could make, saying on Twitter, "We prevented a 4th election." Oil market completely crashes to negative territory. Last week's deal to slash oil production by 9.7 million barrels per day in May and June may have been the deepest cut the organization ever agreed to. But it was just a drop in the barrel compared to total production. Monday was a historic day in the world of oil trading, as the price for a barrel of crude dropped to $0. And then continued its downward fall to $37.63 a barrel. President Trump ordered the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to put as much as 75 million barrels into the reserves themselves, in the hope of repairing the trading deficit. Unconfirmed study finds hydroxychloroquine has no benefit. Medical teams around the world have been testing the possible effects of hydroxychloroquine as a drug capable of helping patients suffering from COVID-19. But a study released on Tuesday contradicts all the data thus far, stating that the drug doesn't just offer no benefit in fighting the disease, but it also causes more harm. That type of review and formal publication will come later, and there are additional studies being conducted at present to determine the drug's effectiveness in treating patients with COVID-19 infections. The study in question analyzed 368 patients, 97 of whom suffered a death rate of 27.8% after taking the drug, while the 158 who didn't have an 11.4% fatality rate. Something may be wrong with Kim Jong-un's health. He missed an annual celebration of his grandfather, the father of the DPRK, which gave rise to the belief that something may have gone wrong in the leader's care. On Tuesday, as rumors about his condition continued to spread online, President Trump commented about the situation. Kim Jong-un, the leader of the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea, is rumored to be gravely ill, though information about the leader's health and status have long been classified at above top secret levels for the traditionally secretive nation. Iran successfully launched its first military satellite around the same time news of the launch began making the rounds online. U.S. President Trump tweeted that he ordered the United States Navy to shoot down and destroy any and all Iranian gunboats if they harass our ships at sea. It's unclear if the two incidents are related, though tensions between the two nations have been on the rise of late. Iran didn't stay quiet about its success, with Iranian state TV reporting that Iran's first military satellite Noor was launched this morning from central Iran in 2 stages. The launch was successful, and the satellite reached orbit. The satellite was placed 264 miles above the Earth's surface. According to the Revolutionary Guard, which was responsible for launching the 2-stage satellite from Iran's central desert, the 18th Space Control Squadron tweeted that it was tracking 2 objects: Noor 1, the satellite, and the rocket body that brought it into a stable orbit. On Wednesday, Iran launched its first military satellite, which U.S. Space Command confirmed at 4:03 p.m. with a tweet. YouTube censoring videos not supported by the WHO. Needless to say, the implications of that, as it pertains to the Chinese government's influence in the WHO, is concerning, considering Google's already checkered past when it comes to supporting the communist government of China against the people of China. YouTube regularly removes videos from the website when they violate the site's community guidelines. On Wednesday, in an interview with CNN, Susan Wojcicki, the CEO of YouTube, described changes in the site's policy, which would bring about the removal of all manner of videos